Picture this scenario for just a moment. The alarm on your phone goes off at 6 in the morning, but something feels different. Instead of your usual wake-up tone, there's an emergency broadcast signal piercing through the silence. Your blood runs cold as you read the notification flashing across your screen. National Emergency Alert System activated. Multiple nuclear threats detected worldwide. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. Your heart pounds as you realize this moment you never truly believed would come has arrived. World War III isn't starting next month or next year. It's starting today, right now. And everything you thought you knew about safety, about normalcy, about tomorrow, just shattered in an instant. But here's what separates survivors from casualties in moments like these. It's not luck. It's not being the strongest or fastest. It's having a plan when everyone else is paralyzed by shock. It's knowing exactly what to do when chaos erupts around you. That's what we're covering today, because the reality is we're living through one of the most dangerous periods in modern history, and most people are completely unprepared for what could unfold. Let's talk about where we stand right now, because this isn't science fiction anymore. The global situation has deteriorated faster than most experts predicted. Russia's conflict in Ukraine has morphed from a regional dispute into a full-scale proxy war with NATO nations. Every week brings new escalations, new red lines crossed, new threats of nuclear retaliation. Meanwhile, China continues its aggressive military buildup in the South China Sea, conducting naval exercises that look suspiciously like invasion rehearsals for Taiwan. The Middle East remains a powder keg, with Iran and Israel exchanging increasingly deadly strikes, each side testing the other's resolve, while American forces remain strategically positioned throughout the region. North Korea has ramped up missile testing to unprecedented levels, with their latest intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching major American cities. And beneath all of this visible tension, there's something even more alarming happening in the shadows. Cyber attacks against critical American infrastructure have increased by over 300% in the past 18 months. These aren't random hackers looking for credit card numbers. These are sophisticated state-sponsored operations targeting power grids, water treatment facilities, banking systems, and communication networks. They're mapping our weaknesses, testing our defenses, and preparing for coordinated strikes that could cripple entire regions without firing a single conventional weapon. Intelligence agencies have warned that we're entering what they call the decade of maximum danger. Multiple nuclear powers are modernizing their arsenals while diplomatic relationships deteriorate. Traditional deterrence strategies that kept the peace for 70 years are breaking down as new technologies, like hypersonic missiles and autonomous weapons, change the rules of engagement. But perhaps most concerning of all is how quickly everything can change in our interconnected world. A single miscalculation, one intercepted communication, or a rogue actor could trigger a cascade of responses that spirals beyond anyone's control. The time between the first shot and global catastrophe has shrunk from days to hours or even minutes. This is why emergency preparedness isn't paranoid thinking anymore. It's responsible citizenship. And if you're watching this video, you're already ahead of 90% of the population who refuse to acknowledge these realities. So let's get practical. Let's talk about what you need to do to protect yourself and your family when the unthinkable becomes inevitable. The first thing you need to understand is that a modern world war won't look anything like the conflicts you've seen in movies or read about in history books. There won't be clear battle lines or months of mobilization. It will begin invisibly with cyber warfare, designed to blind and paralyze before physical weapons are ever deployed. Power grids will fail, communication systems will go dark, and financial networks will collapse, all within hours of the first digital strikes. The initial casualties won't come from explosions or invasions. They'll come from the complete breakdown of the systems we depend on for survival. Grocery stores will empty within 6 hours once panic buying begins. Gas stations will run dry as everyone tries to flee at once. Hospitals will be overwhelmed or completely offline. Emergency services will either disappear or become dangerously unreliable. In this environment, your ability to think clearly and act decisively becomes your most valuable asset. Panic kills more people in disasters than the actual disaster itself. When your nervous system floods with adrenaline and fear, your brain shuts down higher cognitive functions and defaults to primitive survival instincts. Without proper preparation, those instincts will lead you to make deadly mistakes. That's why mental preparation comes before any gear or supplies. You need to condition yourself to stay calm under extreme stress, to think strategically when everyone around you is losing their minds. This isn't about becoming fearless, it's about functioning effectively despite fear. And that skill can be developed starting today, long before you ever need it. Now let's break down exactly what you should do in those critical first 24 hours when global conflict erupts. These 5 steps could literally save your life, but only if you execute them in the right order and with absolute clarity. Step 1 is threat assessment, and this is where most people fail immediately. Your first instinct will be emotional, but your first action must be strategic. You need to determine your risk level based on your location. Are you living near major metropolitan areas, military installations, ports, power plants, or critical infrastructure? These locations become primary targets in first-wave strikes, and your window for evacuation could be measured in minutes, not hours. If you're in a high-risk zone, your priority shifts to immediate movement. Don't pack everything, don't call everyone, don't wait for confirmation. Grab essentials and move toward lower-risk areas immediately. If you're in a rural location or smaller city without strategic value, staying put may actually be safer than joining the chaos on highways and evacuation routes. Open a map and think like a military strategist. What would you target if you wanted to cripple this region? If the answer includes your current location, you need to move fast. If not, prepare to shelter in place and avoid becoming part of the panicked masses flooding transportation networks. Step 2 focuses on securing water and basic supplies, but you need to be smart about this. Don't waste precious time fighting crowds at grocery stores. Instead, immediately fill every container in your home with water. Bathtubs, sinks, pots, pitchers, even trash cans if they're clean. Municipal water systems fail quickly during warfare, and having water secured before the panic hits gives you a massive advantage. For food, prioritize calorie-dense, shelf-stable items you already have. Rice, canned goods, peanut butter, protein bars, anything that doesn't require refrigeration or complex preparation. This isn't about comfort. It's about survival calories that can sustain you for several days while you assess the situation. Step 3 is establishing reliable information sources. The internet will either slow to a crawl or be flooded with misinformation designed to create maximum confusion. Social media becomes completely unreliable during major crises, with algorithms amplifying fear and conspiracy theories over factual reporting. You need analog backup systems. A battery-powered or hand-crank emergency radio becomes your lifeline to legitimate emergency broadcasts and government communications. Learn how to find NOAA weather radio frequencies and local emergency broadcast channels before you need them. These systems often continue operating even when cellular networks fail. Step 4 involves gathering essential documents and mobility items. Your identification documents, cash in small denominations, prescription medications, basic hygiene items, flashlight, extra batteries, and weather-appropriate clothing. Think about what you'd need if you had to live in your car or a stranger's basement for a week. That's your baseline for immediate needs. If you have a pre-assembled emergency kit, grab it. If not, don't spend precious time trying to create the perfect bug-out bag. Focus on documents, medications, cash, and basic survival items you can carry easily. Speed matters more than completeness in these first critical hours. Step 5. Establishes communication protocols with your family and immediate contacts. Make sure everyone knows the plan before cell towers get overwhelmed or networks go down. Designate a rally point where you can meet if separated. Sometimes text messages get through even when voice calls fail, so try multiple communication methods. Write down important phone numbers on paper, because your phone might not survive what's coming. Consider simple tools like whistles or even predetermined signals that don't rely on technology. The goal is maintaining coordination when normal communication channels fail. Now let's talk about what not to do, because the wrong moves can be just as deadly as taking no action at all. First, don't join the stampede to grocery stores and gas stations. By the time you're thinking about supplies, so is everyone else. These locations become chaos zones where fights break out and desperation leads to violence. If you don't already have what you need, focus on water and security at your current location rather than venturing into crowds. Second, don't rely on social media or your smartphone for critical information. When major crises hit, these platforms become weapons of misinformation. Fake news spreads faster than facts, and even legitimate accounts can be compromised or overwhelmed. Stick to official emergency broadcasts and government communications through traditional radio systems. Third, don't broadcast your preparations or capabilities to others. Once people know you have food, water, or a plan, they'll remember when their own resources run out. Don't post photos of your supplies. Don't tell neighbors how prepared you are. And absolutely don't announce your destination if you're evacuating. In crisis situations, good people can become desperate, and desperate people make dangerous choices. Fourth, don't wait for rescue or official help. In a true national emergency, response times stretch from minutes to hours to potentially never. Emergency services get overwhelmed, hospitals reach capacity, and government resources get allocated to strategic priorities that may not include individual citizens. Your mindset needs to shift from dependency to self-reliance immediately. Finally, don't assume you have more time than you actually do. Modern conflicts escalate at digital speed. What starts as regional tensions can become global warfare within hours, not days or weeks. The luxury of gradual preparation disappears when events move faster than government responses or public awareness. But here's what you can start doing right now, today, before any crisis erupts. Begin with basic preparation that doesn't require massive investment or lifestyle changes. Create a 3-day supply of food and water for every person in your household. That's 9 meals per person and 1 gallon of water per person per day, minimum. Purchase a battery-powered emergency radio and learn how to use it. These devices cost less than $50, but become invaluable when digital communications fail. Test it regularly and know how to find local emergency broadcast frequencies in your area. Keep your vehicle's gas tank at least half full at all times. This simple habit could mean the difference between successful evacuation and being stranded when gas stations shut down. Fuel shortages happen within hours during major emergencies. Build a basic emergency kit with essential documents, cash, medications, flashlight, batteries, and basic hygiene items. Keep it accessible but not obvious to casual observers. You want to be able to grab it quickly without advertising its existence to others. Most importantly, have conversations with your family about emergency plans. Not scary discussions designed to create fear, but practical planning sessions that establish procedures and meeting points. Everyone should know what to do if communication systems fail or you get separated during an emergency. The difference between survivors and casualties often comes down to preparation and mindset. People who survive major disasters aren't necessarily stronger or luckier than those who don't. They're the ones who stayed calm, acted decisively, and had plans in place before they needed them. This isn't about living in constant fear or building underground bunkers. It's about developing quiet confidence that comes from being prepared. It's knowing that when systems fail and chaos erupts around you, you have the knowledge and resources to protect yourself and your loved ones. Every week you delay preparation puts you further behind the curve. Start small, but start now. One action per week puts you ahead of 90% of the population who will wait until it's too late to begin thinking clearly about these realities. Remember, preparedness isn't about expecting the worst outcome. It's about ensuring the best possible outcome if the worst ever happens. And in today's world, with tensions escalating globally and critical systems under constant attack, the worst is no longer a distant possibility. It's a growing probability that responsible people prepare for while hoping it never comes. The steps we've covered today represent your foundation for surviving the initial chaos of global conflict. But this is just the beginning. In future videos, we'll dive deeper into long-term survival strategies, advanced preparation techniques, and the psychological tools you need to maintain effectiveness under extreme stress. The world is changing faster than most people realize, and the old assumptions about safety and stability no longer apply. But knowledge is power, and preparation is freedom. When everyone else is paralyzed by shock and uncertainty, you'll have the clarity and confidence to act decisively. That's the difference between being a victim of circumstances and being the master of your own destiny. The choice is yours, and the time to choose is now, while you still have the luxury of preparation instead of the desperation of reaction. Stay alert, stay prepared, and remember that in an uncertain world, the most powerful thing you can be is ready.